So we're going to start with working on numbers 1 through 3 of your practice test. For number 1, it reads 1 plus the root of 16 all over 2. So what I'm going to do is rewrite my whole numbers and leave this space blank. Now, the square root of 16 is 4, so I'm going to put a 4 up here. If you're unsure about square roots or if it's a perfect square or not, all you need to do is type it into the calculator. And if you need help on the test typing into the calculator, please raise your hand and I'm happy to help. So for my next step, I'm going to add the numerator together. So 1 plus 4 is 5. And place the denominator below, which gives me my final answer of 5 over 2. And that's it for number 1. Now I look at number 2 and I see that the square root of 8 is not a perfect square. What I recommend you do at the top of your test is go ahead and write out your square factors, just so it's super obvious what they are, and they're right in front of you the whole time. And 81 and 100. Okay, so 8 is not on that list, which means that I'm going to have to go on the side here and write out the factors of 8. Luckily, there's only 2 pairs, so this should be quick. I see that only 4 matches, so I'm going to highlight the 4 and 4 so you see why I'm picking that. So 4 is a square factor, which means I don't need this pair, I only need this one. So I square root both of them. The square root of 4 is the number 2. And then I have this root 2, so I'm just going to place it on the side right here. So now I'm going to rewrite this expression as 4 minus 2 root 2 over 2. In fact, I'm going to highlight my simplified version the same color as my original and this. So I see where that came from and how I replaced it in that position. So now I have 4 minus 2 root 2 over 2. What I'm going to do is circle my whole numbers. Remember that radical numbers are not whole numbers, so we're going to leave it. And now I have to decide what are these 3 numbers divisible by. And I can tell that it's 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now I'm going to rewrite my expression, simplified. I'll write 2 minus 1 root 2 over 1. You're welcome to leave it like this. If you'd like to write it more simply, you can just put 2 root 2. I'll accept both answers on the test. Now we're going to do number 3. And how we're going to do that one is we're going to first notice that our root is a negative 64. I'm going to look up at my list and I see that 64 is a square factor. And if you can't tell that it's 8 as the answer, I want you to just put it in the calculator and the calculator will tell you the answer. Now I want to remember that this is a negative number inside my radical. So what I'm going to do is when I rewrite the expression, I'm going to place an I next to my 8 because the square root of a negative number is imaginary, okay? All over 2. And if this was my practice test that I'm going to be using on the actual test, sorry for the shakiness, I would highlight the I and write a little note to myself. Put I at the end when negative. So I would highlight the negative inside the radical, yellow, and the I, yellow, so that I see that's where that came from. So now I'm going to circle my whole numbers, the 4, the 2, and the 8. Now, I see that they're all divisible by 2, so I'm going to go ahead and divide the denominator. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'll rewrite my expression right here. 2 plus or minus 4i. And just to make that super clear, I'm going to highlight the 2 and the 4 so you see where that came from. And since it's over 1, I don't need to write that because 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2, so we can just leave it like this. And this is how we do the first section on your test. I'll leave that up for a second. Now, we're going to work on number 4, factoring method. Sorry for the shakiness again. So we'll place that right here. Now, I see that my expression has a negative b and negative c. If you remember in your notes we took a little while ago, we drew a chart that said when I have a negative b and a negative c, my bigger factor is going to be the negative 1. So I'm going to write some of the factors of 80 out right here. So 2 times 40, 4 times 20, 8 times 10. Right? And I'm going to put a negative sign next to all of them. And now I'm going to check to see if any of these add up to a negative 2 when I do addition. So this does not equal negative 2. This will equal negative 16. And negative 10 plus 8 does check out, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my diamond over here. Remember the factoring method, you should draw your diamond. So you'll put a negative 80 on top and negative 2 on the bottom. Your factors that work are 8 and negative 10. Now you're not done. You need to write the quadratic equation in factored form. So you'll write x plus 8, x minus 10. 0. This is not your answer. We want to look and see that the instructions are to solve each equation by the following indicated method, and this method is factoring. So we're using factoring method to get the answer. So what I'm going to write for my answer is x equals negative 8 and x equals 10. Okay, I'll highlight those. And I'll remember to write, if this was my test, I would just write flip sides, just in case you never know what you'll forget on a test. Okay, and that's how we do number 4. So I'll pause this video, and then in the next video, we'll do numbers 5 and 6.